Aloha, welcome back to PTC 26. I'm here with Josh Claman, the CEO of Accelsius. Josh, thank you so much for talking to us. So I wanted to start things off. The cooling world has been at the center of kind of the AI bubble speculation recently with the comments from Jensen at CES and the unveiling of Rubin. What was your overall take on kind of everything that we learned about the new Nvidia architecture?
On his comments, I would say I think the impact was overstated in the market. I mean, I think there are going to be incremental improvements which allow for warmer facility water temperatures and more efficient cooling, but I don't think they happen one chip to the next. Mm-hmm. And so there'll be chillers required. And so I think that the impact to some of these stock prices and enterprise values was exaggerated. Okay,
and so yeah, I think that tends to be the kind of opinion within the industry. I guess now it's our job to kind of get that out there and explain the overall impact on the direction of data center cooling is going in, and try and have that conversation. So from your perspective, where do you see as these AI systems become more prevalent and they can run at these hotter temperatures, where do you see the kind of liquid cooling side of things going from here?
Well, we've always sort of promoted this warmer water temperature. So the idea is that you have a primary water loop in a data center, and the IT racks kind of connect to that. Yeah. The warmer the water loop is, the less energy it uses, because the real energy hungry components of that loop are the compressors and the chillers. Yeah. So if you really can run at 45 C, on the chip, that means probably 40 C primary water loop. That means you could have an expanded free cooling zone. Mm-hmm. But it really needs to be architected really from the ground up. And so there's this debate between different types of cooling architectures, between single phase and two phase. We're a two phase cooling vendor, refrigerant based vendor.
Can you just quickly explain the difference between single phase and
Sure. So single phase is water goes over through a plate on top of the chip, and it just stays in the form of liquid, and it carries off heat through convection. The two-phase, we bring a refrigerant over the chip, and then it vaporizes, so it becomes a gas from a liquid. That's the two-phase part of it. The action of vaporizing or boiling absorbs a huge amount of heat energy, and that's the magic of two-phase. And because of that, it's a very efficient loop, and you can actually warm that primary water loop temperature, or not cool it rather, and save a lot of energy in a data center, where a lot of the, as you can imagine, a lot of the opex, a lot of the spend goes.
How common is two-phase liquid cooling right now in some of the AI infrastructure that's been rolled out over the past 2-3 years or so?
Well, let me back up a second and say, two-phase cooling is extremely common in the world. So your car, your home air conditioner, power plants are cooled with two-phase. It's uncommon in data centers. Right. So with this rush of hotter processor temperatures and higher concentrations of heat, the market's gradually going to liquid cooling. Water, single-phase water was the first mover. And single-phase water can do the job. There's some issues with it to a point. And it's our belief that the math is a math and the physics is a physics, and over the next short period of time, two-phase cooling is going to be required. Mm-hmm. You won't be able to remove the density of heat off a chip with just convection. You need that phase change.
Right. What does that mean for a data center operator or a tenant of a data center if they're to move to two-phase liquid cooling? What do they need to do differently?
Well, luckily, not much.
Okay,
so
that's good news.
If you have, it is good news. If you have a data center that's plumbed for water-based cooling, we can plug and play into that primary water loop. So you don't have to throw that capex investment away. You can preserve it and just plug and play with us. In fact, we can exist right next to a water-cooled rack, our refrigerant-cooled rack. It just doesn't matter. Now, if you start building data centers from the ground up with two-phase designs, you can reduce the capex on the chiller required, you reduce the number of chillers, and your opex goes down dramatically because all the racks in that data center can live with warmer water temperatures.
Got it. If we just kind of bring things back to Accelsius, you guys recently closed the fundraising, right, with led by Johnson Controls. Yeah. You able to talk us through a little bit about kind of that relationship with Johnson Controls and how they're getting involved in the business?
Well, I think maybe talking a little about our our strategy or our philosophy in raising a B round. So we took no institutional money. What we wanted was to develop large commercial relationships with big, credible global players. So Johnson Controls has been in the kind of heat transfer business for, what, 120 years or something? Seemed like a really credible partner. They also have a big business in the gray space of data centers, so the chiller, the heat rejection part. So they thought it was compelling to have a partner, a commercial partner, that does thermals in the white space of the data center. And obviously their investment created a huge kind of umbrella of credibility, because there's no one that knows more about this than Johnson Controls. The other party that invested was Legrand. And Legrand is a huge player in the white space power conditioning part of the data center. They don't have a huge thermal portfolio. So we really wanted two companies that we could fit into in a complementary way that wanted future-facing technologies, that didn't have large portfolios of water-based cooling, for example. They were really looking at what's going to be required this year, ongoing. And I think we found two great partners in that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I wanted to see your thoughts on, Johnson Controls was one of the companies that was impacted by the Nvidia stuff that we were talking about at the start. And there seems to be, from analysts in the industry and observers, the data center business would have maybe some longer term growth prospects if they were to include more liquid cooling solutions, similar to other companies that can provide a wider range of services. Do you think that there's therefore potential for Johnson Controls to go out, maybe look at acquiring some of those businesses, and would you put yourself in a category of a potential acquisition for them?
I hate to put myself in the position of speaking for Johnson Controls. I think
if they were open to it, would you be open to it?
Well, for the right price, is that too glib of a response? I think Johnson Controls is a very exciting company to work with. I like their culture, I like their ethics, I like their future vision. So we'll see how that works out. We are not for sale right now. We really think we have a lot of value to create. And really, we're a nascent technology in a nascent sector of water-cooled or liquid-cooled data centers. We want to see that kind of progress and evolve a little bit longer before we can contemplate an acquisition or an exit.
What are the immediate priorities in terms of investing in the business then?
It's really about expanding our global footprint. We are kind of firmly focused on North America and Western Europe, but there's a lot of data center growth in Asia and the Middle East right now. We're also working hard to expand our product portfolio. So we have a portfolio that's great, has high thermal capacities up to 250 kilowatts, but we need to get up to multi-megawatt CDUs to really address the hyperscaler demand and the large neocloud demand, and we're actively doing that now. So you'll see a new product line being released over the next few months that can compete in terms of thermal capacity with any water-based solution.
Got it. Are you seeing more kind of interest from the hyperscalers or the neoclouds, or is it kind of about 50-50?
It's an interesting question. We saw earlier interest from the hyperscalers. I think they have very sophisticated thermal engineering teams. They know two-phase is coming. They want to start doing proof of concepts and designs around that. So they've engaged with us for a few quarters now. Although our first couple big orders are from neocloud players.
Right.
So it sort of surprised me a little bit that was the way it worked. But I think neocloud players are typically smaller, they're more agile, and they're not afraid to kind of be on the cutting edge of things. Whereas the hyperscalers, there's a lot more downside if they get it wrong.
Definitely,
right?
100%. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. When you talk about growing the international expansion, the international business and the hubs right now being North America and Western Europe, we're seeing a lot of talk in Western Europe about looking at ending reliance on US technology. Maybe it's just talk for now, maybe not so much is happening, but has that impacted you guys in any way? Is that kind of funneling down into the cooling infrastructure yet, or you're not really seeing any of that?
Not even a little bit. Yeah. I think we're excited. EU's a little bit behind the US on AI, and I think there's a lot of concern in Europe around sustainability and not destroying the environment to create AI data centers. We fit right into that. We align perfectly with that. We can have ultimately efficient data centers and minimize water use. So I think we fit right into that sort of community interest, that direction they want to go. Yeah. So I actually see us as a beneficial technology for Europe.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you kind of how much do you kind of pay attention to that conversation around water use? Is that like a way that you're looking at positioning the business? Because it's obviously getting a lot of attention in mainstream media, whether that's justified or not, and definitely in like kind of local opposition to data centers, water is a massive topic for communities, right?
Yeah.
So do you guys actively kind of get involved in trying to, like, you know, I guess not necessarily change the narrative, but inform people and be like, look, this is what a modern data center looks like from a water use perspective?
We do.
Cool.
We've taken that to heart. I have a lot of empathy actually for the community protesters. It's probably I'm going to get knocked off the balcony here at this conference for saying that.
It's very refreshing because, like, a lot of times I think it goes as simple as like, you don't want data centers, don't you love the internet? And that's all people are willing to tolerate.
I think we have to go further than that and say, right? You know, we're from Austin, Texas. Our aquifers are about empty. Yeah. Arizona aquifers are about empty. To build data centers with large evaporative towers there just doesn't work. So we should really think about minimizing water, and you also see these communities where the utility bills are going up. In other words, the individual houses, the individual families are subsidizing the investment in data centers. I don't think that's fair.
Yeah.
And so the data center sector needs to own it and drive advances in that before we're regulated and before other people come into it. I think we should listen to these community protesters. I think they have some valid points. Our technology, just as an aside, allows for various optionality on the entire data center. So if you have refrigerant in the IT racks, you can actually think about maybe other non-water based primary loop fluids or gases. And so we're experimenting actively with a couple partners on new alternatives that would make a completely waterless data center. And so we're really excited about that as well.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. I wanted to touch on maybe another element of cooling that has had a lot of attention with the high density stuff, but I feel like maybe now is the technology's moved beyond it. And I want to see if this is something you agree with, like on the immersion cooling side of things. Do you see that as being something that could be rolled out at scale for these AI projects, or not really?
Not really. You know, when we founded the company just under 4 years ago, immersion had a lot of hype.
Yeah.
And we thought at the time there's some really practical concerns about it. One, there's concerns about the fluids used. We use different fluids, just that's a clarification that we have to make. The fluids in one of these large tanks that's designed to say cool 100 kilowatts or a couple hundred kilowatts, maybe $60,000.
Right.
Which means the dollars per watt of heat removed is maybe 5 or 6 times either single phase water or direct to chip refrigerant cooling.
Okay. So it's just not scalable across
we think you'll find some interesting use cases.
Yeah.
We don't talk to any data centers that are broadly adopting immersion, and that's what we predicted 4 years ago.
Yeah, okay, cool, that makes sense. Well, yeah, Josh, thank you so much for chatting with us. It's been really interesting. We're asking everyone at PTC 26 this year what you've been reading, whether that's on the plane, I don't know if you've got any time to hang out on the beach or not, but have you got any good books on the go?
I have been on a sort of a rut, you might say, of science fiction, kind of hard science fiction. And I'll tell you why.
We've not had too many novels, so I'm excited for this.
Yeah, a lot of novels. But I think the reason is that it's pretty stressful in this sector right now. It's pretty stressful in a lot of areas of life right now. Yeah. Science fiction, and particularly hard science fiction, is a nice escape for me. So that's really what I'm focused on.
Brilliant. Well, yeah, Josh, thank you so much for chatting with us. It's been great. Thank you to everyone for watching at home. You can check out more content from PTC 26 on our YouTube channel. You can also get daily news, features, interviews, and more at thetechcapital.com, where you lead and we report. But for now, it's mahalo from Hawaii, and we'll see you in the next one.